Wasteland Coder here. Today we're going to be continuing our interview questions, and today we're going to take a look at interview questions like this. Write a method that returns concatenating two strings. Okay, simple enough. So usually these are done on, say, a whiteboard or paper or whatever is around, and these are simple interview questions because they can... It's mostly just to see if you understand syntax of the language that you're working in, like Java. Simple one or two liners that can just be done quickly on a whiteboard and can ask follow-up questions from that. So we can start with just maybe writing, whatever the method framework should be. Let's just call it concat. And we'll pass in, string. We'll call it 1 and string 2. That's supposed to be an opening curly brace. And just say return 1 plus 2. Close it. Okay, that works fine. So then they'll ask something, okay, if you pass in this and that, what's it going to return? Answer is just going to be, it's this, that. Some follow-up questions could be like, oh, what happens if you pass in null for one of those strings? In this case, if we pass in null for, say, string 2, it's just going to print out null. That's what happens when you pass in null for a string and concatenate it. Just adds the string null. If it's an empty string, right, you'll just get this. If it's a blank string that just has, let's say, a space or something, you'll get, a space there. Another variation of this could be to, okay, let's add in a delimiter. Okay, so all we need to do is let's add another parameter. Let's say at the start, let's make it a string. You can make it a character or whatever. That's probably one of the things that they'll ask you about. I'll just say D because I'm running out of space here. And then instead of 1 plus 2, you'll do 1 plus delimiter, which I just named it D. So let's just say 1 plus D plus 2. There. And so if you pass in a comma for a delimiter, in this case, you'll get, this comma and then that if that was number 2. If you pass in null for the delimiter, you'll get this null that, which obviously that's probably not desirable. So one of the things you may want to do is see if the delimiter is null, and if so, do something different. So we can swap this up a little bit. We can test the delimiter right in our string addition here, string concatenation, and say if D equals, this is a parenthesis, if D equals null, and just use a ternary operator here, maybe make a default concatenator as a comma or something, and if it wasn't null, just return that, plus 2, boom. So then if you pass in null for the delimiter, you'll get this comma that again, so no big surprise there. So then another great addition to this question is, how about any number of strings, not just 2? Okay. You can keep a delimiter there or not, doesn't really matter. For this one, we'll just get rid of it and rewrite the whole method just to clean it up. Okay. So let's just start again. Private string concat. This time we can pass in any number of strings, so we'll do a string ... which is a var args, and we'll just call it toConcat. Okay, and so here you have any number of ways that you can put these guys together. One simple way is to just start with an empty string, call it result equals blank, and then just do a for each loop over the to concat. Just do result plus equals s, and then return result. That'll work fine. If your interviewers are little bit of IDEs themselves, they'll say, you know, that's not a very good way of doing it. You might consider doing something else. To which you can say, yeah, sure, that may be better as a string builder. You know, concatenating strings in a loop isn't generally a great idea, especially if it's a large array or list of strings that gets passed in. So let's use a string builder. And we don't need a string buffer in this case, because it doesn't need to be thread safe, right? It's just one thread looking at this guy. That's one of the differences between string builder and string buffer, is string buffer is thread safe. And then the for loop looks very similar. For string, we'll call it s inside to concat. We will just say sb.append s, and return sb to string. Good. If you needed to add a concat delimiter in that concat, you can just do, you know, append s.append the delimiter, and then you have to figure out, you know, is a trailing delimiter okay or not? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. If that becomes a problem, the easiest thing to do is to switch to use a joiner, a string joiner. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. The easiest is to just call return string dot join. And this takes an argument of a delimiter character array, and then the thing that you want to concat, or join in this case. So that's a comma with a space, just to make it read a little bit nicer. And then just to concat. Yeah. And that'll do what you need. That's the simplest way. You shouldn't have any problem with that. There are more things you can do if you actually instantiate a string joiner. It can take a prepend and append character arrays, so you can get, you know, you can add in, have it do square brackets or curly brackets around the strings that you're joining together, all that good stuff. Another interesting approach that you can take is to use streams. So you can do just return arrays dot stream. We're going to stream what we're getting passed in, concat, and then we can just collect, and then collectors has a joining operator on it. You know, pass in just the delimiter that you want. So in this case, if we want to preserve the one that we just did, just comma with a space, like that. That'll do it. We need another parenthesis there to end the collect. That's a great way of doing it if stream is your thing, and that lets the next questions be a little bit easier. So what happens if we don't want nulls? If you get any of these strings that are passed in that have null in them, we want to get those filtered out. What do? Well, the streams gives you a nice way of doing that. We will just ignore the collectors joining right now and assume that that's stuck at the bottom. And so what you want to do to filter out those nulls is just dot filter. And if they're actually null, it becomes really easy. You can just do objects is null. Oh, but wait, that's not right. That'll filter everything that is null so that you'll be left with all the nulls. Well, that's not quite what we want. We want the reverse of that. So let's do predicates dot not, and then do the objects is null. Yeah, we don't really want a semicolon there because there's more stuff underneath here for the collector. So that'll filter out all of the strings that are null, and so you're left with all the non-nulls. Okay, and then obviously the next leap is, what if we don't want any of the blanks or the empties? Okay, that's just another filter that we can add in here too. So just filter, and then again we want predicate.not, and then this one is we can use a method reference that's on string, and it has one that's called isBlank, which will do what we want. Boom, and that should do it. Should be happy. I just wanted to make one note on why we had to do the predicates.not rather than something like just the not operator. So we had the method reference objects is null inside of the filter of our stream, and you can't just do the not operator there. That doesn't make any sense to Java. And so that's why you have to do the predicates.not and wrap this guy in that call, because this is a predicate, or can be cast to a predicate, something like that. So that's one way to do it. If it's already in, like if you're chaining together multiple predicates and you already had some, you can do not and then the objects dot is null, and that will do what you expect there. Not dot, that's the method reference. This works because this is a static method on objects. The string is blank that we looked at, that one will not work in this type of scenario because the compiler complains that you can't call non-static method from a static reference. So this one works, the strings.blank won't in this type of case. Just wanted to give that addition out there. See you next time.